Well, hello, and welcome to today's Bible reading and devotional time. This is Monday, July 24th, 2023. We'll have a reading and devotional time today. We won't have one for tomorrow on Tuesday. I'll be setting up for a conference, but I'll be back on the job Wednesday and Thursday. So if you got your Bibles, and no, of course, let's not forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified anytime content's added to the channel. Don't forget to comment on these videos, like these videos, share these videos, all that. So today we are going to be reading from Genesis 41, first 36 verses, and then 1 Samuel 25, Psalm 65, and we'll finish out in Mark chapter 12 with the Kingdom Bible reading plan generated by Logos. No, I do not get any kind of compensation or anything from them. It just is the program that I use, and it generates a variety of different reading programs. And then when we go into postage stamp, you'll see the BibleSoft New King James, which is what the New King James is what I study from pretty much all the time. So Genesis chapter 41, if you want to be turning over there, I will go into the postage stamp. What's what I call it. You'll see, if you're new to the broadcast, you'll see why I call it that here momentarily. Because here I am in the upper corner. I had to adjust the mic there, but yeah. Okay. Genesis chapter 41. And let's begin. Then it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream, and behold, he stood by the river. Suddenly there came up out of the river 7 cows, fine-looking, fat, and they fed in the meadows. And behold, 7 other cows came up after them out of the river, ugly and gaunt, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the river. And the ugly and gaunt cows ate up the 7 fine-looking and fat cows. So Pharaoh awoke, he slept and dreamed a second time. And suddenly 7 heads of grain came up on one stalk, plump and good. Then behold, 7 thin heads, blighted by the east wind, sprang up after them. And the 7 thin heads devoured the 7 plump and full heads. So Pharaoh awoke, and indeed it was a dream. Now it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief butler spoke to Pharaoh, saying, I remember my faults this day, when Pharaoh was angry with his servants, and he put me in custody in the house of the captain of the guard. Both me and the chief baker, we each had a dream in one night, and he and I, and each of us dreamed according to the interpretation of his own dream. Now there was a young Hebrew man with us there, a servant of the captain of the guard, and we told him, and he interpreted our dreams for us. To each man he interpreted according to his own dream. And it came to pass just as he interpreted it for us. So it happened, he restored me to my office, and he hanged him. The he, of course, here being Pharaoh. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon, and he shaved and changed his clothes and came to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. But I have heard it said that you can understand a dream to interpret it. So Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Behold, in my dream I stood on the bank of the river. Suddenly 7 cows came up out of the river, fine-looking and fat, and they fed in the meadow. Then behold, 7 other cows came up from them, poor and very ugly and gaunt, and with such ugliness as I have never seen in all the land of Egypt. And the gaunt and ugly cows ate up the first 7, the fat cows ate up the first 7, the fat cows. When they had eaten them up, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were just as ugly as at the beginning. So I awoke. Also I saw in my dream, and suddenly 7 heads came up on one stalk, full and good. Then behold, 7 heads, withered and thin and blighted by the east wind, sprang up after them. And the thin heads devoured the good heads, So I told this to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. And Joseph said to Pharaoh, "The dreams of Pharaoh are one. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 heads are 7 years. The dreams are one. And the 7 thin and ugly cows which came up after them are 7 years, and the empty heads blighted by the east wind are 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. Indeed, 7 years of great plenty will come throughout all the land of Egypt. But after them 7 years of famine will arise, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And the famine will deplete the land. So the plenty will not be known in the land because of the famine following it. For it will be very severe. And the dream was repeated to Pharaoh twice, because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man and set him up over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this. Let him appoint officers over the land to collect 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt in the 7 plentiful years, and let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming, and store up grain under the authority of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. Then that food shall be as a reserve for the land for the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land may not perish during the famine. So basically, if Pharaoh's being told, batten down the hatches because you've got some rough times coming, and to prepare by obviously storing up grain and food, and notice in the cities as well. Not exactly sure how they would do that with the technology, but they got it done, as we'll see in the coming chapters. And there's going to be a twist to the story towards the end. 1 Samuel chapter 25. Then Samuel died, and the Israelites gathered together and lamented for him, and buried him at his home in Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran, David and the wife of Nabal. Now there was a man in Maon whose business was in Carmel, and the man was very rich, and he had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. The name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife was Abigail. And she was a woman of good understanding and beautiful appearance, but the man was harsh and evil in his doings. He was of the house of Caleb. So when David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing his sheep, David sent 10 young men, and David said to the young men, "Go up to Carmel to go to Nabal and greet him in my name, and thus you shall say to him who lives in prosperity, Peace be to you, peace to your house, and peace to all that you have. Now I have heard that you have shearers. Your shepherds were with us, and we did not hurt them. Now was there anything missing from them all the while they were in Carmel? Ask your young men, and they will tell you. Therefore, let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we come on a feast day. Please give whatever comes to your hand to your servants, and lo, your son David." So when David's young men came, they spoke to Nabal according to all these words in the name of David, and waited. Then Nabal answered David's servants and said, "Who is David, and who is the son of Jesse? There are many servants nowadays who break away each one from his master. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my meat that I have killed for my shearers, and give it to men who I do not know where they come from?" So David's young men turned on their heels and went back, and they came and told him all these words. And David said to his men, "Every man gird up his sword." So every man girded up on his sword, and David also girded on his sword. And about 400 men went with David, and 200 stayed with the supplies. Looks like somebody made a little error in judgment here. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, "Look, David sent messengers from the wilderness to greet our master, and he reviled them. But the men were very good to us, and we were not hurt, nor did we miss anything as long as we accompanied them. When we were in the fields, they were a wall to us both by night and day, all the time we were with them, keeping the sheep. Now, therefore, know and consider what you will do. For harm is determined against our master and against all his household. for he is such a scoundrel that one cannot speak to him. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep already dressed, 5 seahs of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisins, 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them on donkeys. And she said to his servants, "Go on before me. See, I am coming after you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal. So you see, this is a situation we even see today where you've got a short-tempered, angry, and probably abusive husband, but there's the wife over here who typically keeps things under control. Like right here, she's going behind his back, but she's doing what she knows she needs to do to avert trouble. Because David is coming with a bunch of armed men. What was it, about 400 armed men? And he means business. So verse 20, so it was as she rode on the donkey that she went down under cover of the hill, and there were David and his men coming down toward her. And she met them. Now David had said, "Surely in vain I have protected all that this fellow has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed out of all that belongs to him. And he has repaid me evil for good. May God do so and more also to the enemies of David, if I leave one male of all who belong to him by morning light." So David's not taking any chances. He not only wants to kill this guy, he wants to kill all of his servants. He wants to pay him back for the guy who got protection from David. David took care of him, but now when David needs a little bit of assistance, he's scoffing at him. Now when Abigail saw David, she dismounted quickly from the donkey, fell on her face before David, and bowed down to the ground. So she fell at his feet and said, "On me, my lord, on me let this iniquity be, and please let your maidservant speak in your ears, and hear the words of your maidservant. Please let not my lord regard this scoundrel Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, your maidservant, did not see the young men of my lord who you sent. Now therefore, my lord, as the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, since the Lord has held you back from coming to bloodshed, and from avenging yourself with my own hand, now then let your enemies and those who seek harm from my lord be as Nabal. And now this present which your maidservant has brought to my lord, let it be given to the young men who follow my lord. Please forgive the trespass of your maidservant, for the Lord will certainly make for my lord an enduring house, because my lord fights the battles of the Lord, and evil is not found in you throughout your days." This might get using the word Lord a lot. Britain still does it, where Lord is used kind of like the Americans might use Sir or Mister in that sort of context. When you're reading it, it's pretty obvious which Lord is which, because referring to God, it's capitalized. So verse 31, that this will be no grief to you, nor offense of the heart to my lord, either that you have shed blood without cause, or that my lord has avenged himself. And when the Lord has dealt well with my lord, then remember your maidservant. So David said to Abigail, "Blessed is the Lord God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. And blessed is your advice, and blessed are you, because you have kept me this day from coming to bloodshed, and from avenging myself on my own hand. For indeed, as the Lord God of Israel lives, he who has kept me back from hurting you, unless you are hurried and come to me, surely by morning light no males would have been left to Nabal." So David received from her hand what she had brought him, and said to her, Go up in peace to your house. See, I have heeded your voice and have respected your person." Now Abigail went to Nabal, and there he was holding a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunk. Therefore she told him nothing, little or much, until morning light. So it was in the morning, when the wine had gone from Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became like a stone. Then it happened after about 10 days that the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. So once he's sobered up after partying into the night and getting pretty wasted, she told him what had happened. And his heart died within him, and it became like a stone. Pretty hard, it looks like. And then, what was it? 10 days later, the Lord struck him and he died. So when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Blessed be the Lord who has pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal and has kept his servant from evil, for the Lord has returned the wickedness of Nabal on his own head." And David sent and proposed to Abigail to take her as his wife. When the servants of David had come to Abigail at Carmel, they spoke to her, saying, "David sent us to you to ask you to become his wife." Then she arose, bowed her face to the earth, and said, "Here is your maidservant, a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my lord." So Abigail rose in haste and rode a donkey, attended by 5 of her maidservants, and she followed the messengers of David and became his wife. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and so both of them were his wives. But Saul had given Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to Palti, the son of Laish, who was from Galem. Now notice it is recording what David did. He's got 2 wives here, and the plan was for 1 man and 1 woman. And remember, recording something is not necessarily have anything to do with approval. It's just recording the facts that it happened. So now we will go on to Psalm 65. Psalm 65, praise to God for his salvation and providence, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, a song. Praise is waiting you, O God, in Zion, and to you the vow shall be performed. O you who hear prayer, to you all flesh will come. Iniquities prevail against me. As for our transgressions, you will provide atonement for them. Psalm 65. Praise to God for his salvation and providence, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, a song. Praise is waiting you, O God, in Zion, and to you the vow shall be performed. O you who hear prayer, to you all flesh will come. Iniquities prevail against me. As for our transgressions, you will provide atonement for them. Blessed is the man you choose and cause to approach you, that he may dwell in your courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of your house, of your holy temple. By awesome deeds and righteousness you will answer us, O God of our salvation, you who are the confidence of all the ends of the earth and of the far-off seas, who established the mountains by his strength, being clothed with power, you who still the noise of the sea, the noise of the waves, and the tumult of the peoples. They also who dwell in the farthest parts are afraid of your signs. You make the outgoings of the mornings and evenings rejoice. You visit the earth and water, you greatly enrich it. The river of God is full of water. You provide their grain, for so you have prepared it. You water its ridges abundantly. You settle its furrows. You make it soft with showers. You bless its growth. You crown the year with your goodness, and your paths drip with abundance. They drop on the pastures of the wilderness. The little hills rejoice on every side. The pastures are clothed with flocks. The valleys also are covered with grain. They shout for joy. They also sing. And our last reading, Mark chapter 12. And this is Mark 12, 1 through 17, the parable of the wicked vine dressers. Then he departed to speak to them in parables. A man planted a vineyard and set a hedge around it and dug a place for the wine vat and built a tower, and he leased it to the vine dressers and went into a far country. Now at the vintage time he sent a servant to the vine dressers that he might receive some of the fruit of the vineyard from the vine dressers. And they took him and beat him and sent him away empty-handed. And again he sent them another servant. And at him they threw stones, wounded him in the head, and sent him away shamefully treated. And again he sent another, and him they killed, and many others, beating some and killing some. Therefore, still having one son, his beloved, he also sent him to them at last, saying, They will respect my son. But those vine dressers said among themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and the inheritance will be ours. So they took him and killed him and cast him out of the vineyard. Therefore, what will the owner of the vineyard do? He will come and destroy the vine dressers and give the vineyard to others Have you not even read the scripture? Stone which the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. And this was the Lord's doing, and it was marvelous in our eyes. And they sought to lay hands on him, but feared the multitude, for they knew he had spoken the parable against them. So they left him and went away. Then they sent to him some of the Pharisees and the Herodians to catch him in his words. When they had come, they said to him, Teacher, we know that you are true and care about no one, for you do not regard the person of men, but teach the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Shall we pay or shall we not pay? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said to him, Why do you test me? Bring me a denarius that I may see it. So they brought it, and he said to them, Whose image and inscription is on this? They said to him, Caesar's. And Jesus answered and said to them, Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. Okay, we know coming into chapter 12, they've already determined, the Pharisees, scribes, and that bunch has already determined they got to get rid of Jesus. And they've already decided they're going to have him, somehow they're going to have him killed. They haven't worked out all the details just yet. But this parable of the vineyard, it's pretty obvious what the meaning is. Jesus speaking of a vineyard, which is something that comes out of Isaiah chapter 5. And all the vineyard basically is Israel, and the all the men that are sent to them to collect at harvest time, various prophets that had been sent to Israel to try and get them on the right track, and how badly they were treated, killed some of them just run out of town. And so now the son has come. That, of course, is Jesus. And see how they spitefully treated that son. And then here comes the judge. Yeah, here came the vine dresser, the owner, who came in and took it and gave it to someone else. That's Jesus coming. And when they put him on the cross, well, the kingdom was then opened up. God's rules opened up to other people besides Jews. You don't have to be born a Jew anymore. A Christian can be of any nationality, any race, can come from other religions into Christianity. They, of course, have to put aside the old ways that they had. And so that's what he's getting at here is Israel, you guys are going to lose the kingdom. God is going to make it available to the gospel available to everybody. And so then we come into the paying taxes to Caesar. And here again, they're hoping to catch him and think, okay, he's got choice A, choice B. Well, then Jesus comes up with choice C. And so the Pharisees, these were today would be the ultra-conservative fundamentalists, roughly, loosely compared. They are the separatists or separated. That's what the word Pharisee means. Very legalistic in how they keep the law. And they wanted to be perfect in keeping it. They had an overblown sense of pride. Now, this coin, which has Caesar's inscription on it, some have considered that a form of idolatry because it is an image of Caesar. And that's what they had to use for their Roman business transactions. But the people had actually had some religious freedom and some prosperity during the time. And Herod supported the Romans and sought to bring Roman culture to Israel. And he was of Israel. But normally the Herodians and the Pharisees would have nothing to do with each other, but they were uniting here, probably of the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. And so they were trying to unite, obviously, for bad when they came in with this gotcha question that they are going to try and get Jesus with. And it would have been Tiberius Caesar would have been the one whose image was on the coin because he was emperor at the time. And so in doing this, in those days, typically you would put your image or a seal or something that was yours. So Jesus is basically telling him, look, this coin has got Caesar's image on it. It's his coin. Give it to him if he's asking for it back. And then, of course, I think they had temple money, other money to use to pay their things to the temple. So here again, they thought they had him. Just picture a linebacker crashing through the line. He's going to sack the quarterback, and then the quarterback steps away and drops a 30-yard long bomb, and the linebacker is in the face planted in the turf. Okay. So that is going to be it for today, for today's Bible reading. And then remember, there won't be one tomorrow, but I'll be back with it on Wednesday. I'll be traveling here in a little bit. So thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. That's it for today. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a blessed week, and we'll see you. I'm out of here.